point now where it's like we'd love to see some more sanking in these games. But nevertheless, we'll ignore that for now. We'll find out what happens in the next patch when they do change up the heroes a little bit. We do see the DP coming out now for IG Vitality. And CDEC, they do go straight into the Razor. So if you're going to have this hero that revolves around very long cooldowns, well, you're going to be up against a Razor who doesn't care for that. He's just going to run at you constantly.
Yeah, not only that, but DP is not a hero that enjoys the matchup against Razor, mainly because she has no mobility skills. So the Razor is going to maintain that static link, steal a lot of damage, and just be really big in these fights. You mentioned the tempo CDEC has. This lineup really just wants to fight early, very fast and very quickly. I'm liking the draft so far from CDEC. I think this plays nicely into those economy changes you mentioned. Like, killing is much more rewarding now. It's not as much of a loss if you do get rotations out early. So you can expect stronger snowballing from simply fighting earlier. And CDEC's lineup can fight very early on.
That it can. IG Vitality will wait out this sixth ban from them. Of course, there is one extra ban now through Captain's Mode. So I suppose at the tail end of the drafts, you can get a few more bans out. Can be quite effective as well. Because sometimes you do feel trapped in the draft. You know there's a couple picks that maybe the enemy wants, but you can't really pick which one's more important. Now you can. So the Lycan Slark being removed so far. We'll see the final ones being removed now by CDEC and IG Vitality. I mean, CDEC, they just need what seems to be a position 1. You could run the POS 1 Razor if you really want to, but I think in the mid lane up against the DP, it's going to do just fine.
Yeah.
It's just about getting another position 1 that you feel can really snowball out of control. And, Slark was one of them that was in my mind, I've got to say. Especially with those Silver Edge changes that we saw. And now it's just such a broken item. It feels like the Slark could make a real resurgence back into the meta. As it is one of those heroes that really does enjoy running something like the Silver Edge. We'll see, though, as it was banned out anyway, so we won't get to see it this game. But PL is going to be removed now from CDEC.
Yeah, it's a solid ban out. You don't have to worry about the illusion spam. You don't really have the best ways of identifying that safely as CDC. You could argue to Mars, but once the diffusal's up, it gets a bit hard to sustain that mana. So it's a solid, decent ban. I think, surprisingly enough, the Ursa does slide through. And that's a meta here we've seen China in particular kind of be wishy-washy about. A lot more regions tend to prioritize that, but China seems to ignore the Ursa a ton. So that's a pretty solid pick for CDEC if they wanted it. It would deal with all of these heroes pretty nicely.
IG Vitality, they're going to continue thinking about that final ban, but we do see the Spectre removed, which is quite intriguing as well, because the Necro book that Spectres were relying on is nowhere near as strong, and now CDEC bring out the Drow Ranger.
Yeah, that's definitely a hero you don't see too often, but if CDEC was looking to fight fast, this is the kind of lineup you do it with. You don't need much investment in the Drow to really be active early on. You're going to be looking at CDEC to try to force team fights fast, try to take control on the map, maybe clear out some tier 1 towers fairly quickly, although how quick with the changes to towers, we'll see just how much CDEC can handle that, but their lineup's looking good. They're not constrained by any long timers here, except perhaps the egg from the Phoenix, but it's nothing as pivotal as the Exorcism from the DP, and even that Epicenter we were talking about, that's a cooldown iG.V has to play around and forcing out these fights. Whenever those spells are gone, iG.V have to take a step back, buy some space for themselves. They can't force a confrontation with CDEC if they've used those spells up. So those are some serious timers that iG.V has to be constantly aware of.
iG.V, final ban out now as well. Pick up. They are going for that POS 1 on their own side of things. Not really much catch here for the Drow Ranger until that Sanking maybe has the blink up. IG. You'd love to see a gap closer here. And they are going to go for the PA. So that's one hero that can kind of just blink in on the Drow, burst her down ASAP. seems to be one of the ways to go, and I guess the natural evasion may force them into maybe building specific items, maybe like the MKB, you know, just to deal with this Phantom Assassin. Then again, though, I wouldn't quite blame them for just going for that Silver Edge on the Drow Ranger and just using that up against Doodle on that PA.
Yeah, the Echo Saber build-up is kind of a waste for range heroes, but everything else is still pretty nice. I still find it really strange you pick PA into Razor, into Bane. These are really good heroes to control that PA. So you're going to be hard-pressed as Doodle to just get in there and get the damage out. It's still a really good hero for the backline, especially for that Drow Ami's playing, as you mentioned. It's just, you have to always worry about XM. If he links you up and you already blinked in, you're just giving free damage to the Razor, and you're not going to do much as the PA.
We'll see how this game number 1 pans out. Of course, it is a best-of-3 series, so it's not going to be over just after this first game. And well, after this, of course, if you, I'm sure people are very well aware already, but we do have a very intriguing series straight after this one, where we'll see RNG versus SAG. That'll be a rematch from a couple days ago. I think a lot of people are really wanting to keep their eyes out on SAG and see how they do. But still, we'll get through this series first, and we'll see if IG Vitality can take down CDEC, at least in this first game, as we are getting into it.
Yeah, again, it's going to be interesting to see just how much these economy changes play in here for both sides.
Prepare for battle.
I think I disconnected.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess I'll just wait for you to reconnect then. No, you, yeah, no. I thought I disconnected for a second there, but not the case. They just kind of stopped. So,
okay. I thought it was just me.
IG Vitality, they are going to smoke up now. Looks like they might go for a very early first blood attempt, which I love seeing. Of course, these kills do matter more. So it might be worthwhile for iG.V to get a nice start to their game, and they are going to find Victoria, but they're not going to be in range for that Burrow Strike yet. They'll throw out an arrow in Victoria. He couldn't quite dodge it out, so now with that arrow there, it should be a very easy first blood, and it will be. Butterfly Effect will take it for himself on the Death Prophet. The tips are coming out immediately for Victoria on that Bane.
Yeah, it's a really solid pickup for iG.V, and that's something you don't see it too often nowadays. You tend to see more emphasis on, say, trades on the outpost, but with the changes to that outpost, you're already seeing some of that come into play. You're free now to clump up as 5 and just take control of one side of the map.
They might go again. They've got to be a bit wary of the arrow there from Dust. No, Dust, he just wanted that bounty rune. He'll back off straight after, but it's even a nice little bonus there from iG.V just with those bounties. They get a 3-for-1 trade. It's going to put him slightly ahead going into this matchup, and Dust, he's going to stick around up at this top lane. It looks like he might try to go for another kill attempt here. It's a nice deep observer ward off on the cliff, and we'll see if he can land an arrow for the team. QX going to go for the stun. Arrow to follow there as well. It may not lead to a kill though. He still has a skill point left. James, he goes for the Fire Spirits instead of the Icarus dive, which means he may actually die here. He'll eat a Fairy Fire up. And he'll be alright.
Yeah, I'm loving this emphasis on aggression from iG.V though. They understand that you're not losing out on as much if you find these kills, so it does look like they break up the tri-lane. Dust does end up going down bot to help out his offlaner.
Arme and Victoria will be there up against Dust and Nevermind, and it should be a bit of a hard lane here for Nevermind on that Sand King. Even for Dust, like I don't know how much harassment he can really get out here on that Mirana. You can see Victoria, he just continues giving it to that Sand King. No real care in the world for how much his HP is going down, because you've got Brain Sap there, and of course you've got plenty of regen as well. So in terms of laning phase, at least this bot lane, it does seem a little bit weak here from IG Vitality. Well, poor old Nevermind. He's trying. He'll throw us a stun out with the arrow flying out as well, but you just can't confirm the kill there, and Victoria can continue just zoning them out.
Yeah, it's going to be really slow for iG.V. Now, You do have level 2 up and running on Nevermind, so you can play around with a Sandstorm, but they have a Sentry ready for this. And it should be fairly easy to find Nevermind, although they do have a preemptive Sentry of their own.
Although needed, of course. Now mid lane, we'll have a quick look at that. Butterfly effect. He'll be up against XM, and we briefly, ran over this in the drafting phase, but you can't really Spirit Siphon a Razor, because he's just going to static link you back. And it will always generally mean that XM will be ahead. There it is, that static link coming out, although it was very, very short. He get himself 10 bonus damage. Butterfly effect, he won't mind that.
Yeah, it is a bit tricky with just how much move speed ADP does have early on. Razor's not quite as nimble. So if you cast it a bit too far, well, you're not going to get too much damage, but that is enough for XM to pretty much just build a solid lane for himself. It's not too one-sided here, fairly even for both sides so far.
Oh, here we go, static link again, butterfly effect. He's going to lose 32 this time, not too big of a deal again. KYQX is what I was meant to say. Or QYQX, I always get confused with these lettered kind of names. He'll be alright, he was under some siege there from James. Meanwhile, Doodle being harassed out by SRF there on the Mars. He'll be alright, he'll just farm underneath that T1 once his creep wave gets there, but the problem is SRF has complete control of this lane right now. Just keep farming up.
It's a much slower time for Doodle than you'd want. The PA, it doesn't flash farm too fast, although we might be seeing that Battle Fury build here for Doodle, but it's not as good of a lane as you'd want. Doodle's 13-1, you're seeing Ame at 20-4, and SRF is just managing to apply that pressure you expect from the Mars, which means Doodle's going to have to get some space later on to build up his own farm.
Nightmare. The mid lane. Just going to be ensuring Victoria can take the power rune away from Dust. And Dust just going to go back down to the bot lane now, not wanting to leave that Sand King alone quite yet. Nevermind has hit that level 4 mark, however, so he should feel a lot more confident being here by himself. Victoria actually going to go for a bit of harassment out onto Dust. Nevermind. He can't really return the favor there with the Mirana because he is going for that large camp pull, so just get the D-ward off while he can. And Ame tried to get the return D-ward, but Victoria, he had another sentry ward. Now the Sandstorm and the Burrow Strike as well as the arrow comes out. Victoria may be dead here. There'll be a leap out from Dust. He should be able to secure the kill, but they lost their core Sand King, and now they might lose their Mirana as well. Dust is trying to make a path through the tree line, but it will be no good, and Ame will be able to get himself a double kill on this Drow Ranger.
That's not a great trade for iG.V. It's giving so much more to Ame. He's already got a runaway start in this lane. He's finding the kills as well. He's getting a good amount of EXP for himself. You're going to see this Drow online and ready to go a lot earlier than it should be in this game.
Never mind. Burrow Strike going to be there. Another great arrow to come out from Dust, but no. The Burrow Strike duration just not long enough, so Victoria be able to walk himself out of there. However, mid lane, XM now getting dive. Butterfly, he does get the kill onto the Razor. He will die afterwards, but you've got to be more than happy with that.
Yeah, it's a big pickup for the DP. Butterfly Effect can be really happy to force the rotation out from James as well. That does help free up the top lane and, just give more space towards Doodle.
Now that bot lane though, Ame just getting another kill on that Drow Ranger, and this is going to be real concerning here for iG.V. You've already got those 3 Wraith Bands and the boots up now on that Drow, and she's already hitting like a truck, even pre-level 6, and well, now she is level 6, so that damage really just got amplified quite a lot.
Yeah, it's going to be really hard to slow CDEC's pace down now. I mean, we're still at 6 minutes in, but they're finding a bit too much from these lanes now. It's a very small net worth gap, just about 1k, but the momentum is most certainly on CDEC's side. You can see them grouping up mid, trying to force an aggressive play already.
That they are. Nightmare going to be there from Victoria, straight onto Dust. And he won't bother trying to throw out an arrow, there's just no point to it. However, Butterfly Trying to go and help out QYQX, but XM already got the kill. Now Exorcism going to be popped. Static Link is there as well, but Butterfly is still going. Icarus dive out from the Phoenix. Butterfly, he may have gone too far, and he does. XM gets the kill, and now Dust is in trouble. He'll turn around and get a triple kill on the Razor. And XM just understanding how far he can push the Razor. And IG Vitality, they underestimate. Unfortunately for them, it does not work out their way.
That was the first exorcism of the game as well. It doesn't lead to any kill. It's no objective chipping away here. And CDEC, even with all the supports rotating down mid, they're still having a lot of great times on the side lane, so they're not losing out in any single lane. All of this movement is just paying off and helping them snowball even harder as they approach the 10-minute mark.
Oh, never mind. Still trying to secure his own farm on that Sand King, but man, Arme just hits like a truck right now. Never mind, he's going to go for the Burrow Strike there onto Victoria with the Magic Missile and the arrow. That should mean a kill, and it does. That's just your position 5 going down. However, in top lane now, Doodle's going to be in trouble. He does get speared up through the arena, and he is probably dead, although he's going to try and Blink Strike away, but it will not be enough. James had enough damage out with the Fire Spirits. And they just continue destroying this game.
Yeah, it's going to be really tricky for iG.V now to split up their farm. Like, you're not having a good time in Nevermind, but you're also not having the best timings here from Doodle. So one of these heroes will have to get shafted. They're going to have to prioritize that PA's acceleration in the jungle, which means you're not going to expect a great blink timing for Nevermind. He's just not going to get these camps.
Bot lane, Butterfly, rather, it was the Bane getting stunned up. Nevermind will set up that kill. Now Dust takes it. James did TP on the Phoenix. Doesn't really have mana for the egg right now and won't really need to use it anyway. They are going to lose that Pos 5 Bane again, and they're seemingly trying to apply pressure onto Arme on that Drow. He's not really too pressured though. He could just keep sitting in this lane and keep farming.
Yeah, it's a lot of commitment from iG.V to surround this bot lane. That frees up every single other lane. Like, SRF's having free time up top. He gets the free farm. They do chase XM, but that's a tricky target.
Arrow, though, does land. Great arrow from Dust. And that might mean a kill here. XM, he has no way out. He will go down with that CDEC. Going to try and punish here. Q going to be the first one under siege here from James. Exorcism popped again, but Arme, he's still hitting very hard. There's that egg coming out. They will focus the egg down, and they should be able to get it, and do. Here comes Nevermind as well, trying to get a Burrow Strike off onto Arme, but Butterfly, he has so much damage himself. They do get the kills, but now underneath that tier 2 tower, SRF gets a great arena off, and they do clear them out. So it was a complete mess down at that bot lane, but it ends up being a 3-for-4 trade the way of CDEC.
Yeah, that's a bigger win for CDEC. Even if they trade away their Drow, they're still finding pressure on iG.V. They're still not finding the objectives, and Doodle now does TP away, but if there was a stun there, he would most certainly be in a spot of trouble.
Yeah, you might see it. I mean, XM, he may go for something like a Yules later on if he feels it necessary to have that TP cancellation. Doodle, he'll just keep farming up. He hasn't really queued up an item for himself on this PA yet. He's just trying to decide what he will need. You might not really have enough time to go for that Battle Fury build if that's what he wanted. He may need to try and go for something that can allow him to fight a bit earlier on. Yeah, for now, he'll just keep thinking about it.
Yeah, it is really tricky for the PA. Like, you want to be able to just get in there, get the damage out, but there's so much control here from CDEC. Like, you're gonna need a BKB, but then you worry about the Fiend's Grip, you worry about the static link constantly. It's definitely not a very easy game for Doodle to itemize for, and does opt for the Battle Fury in the end. Just wants to build that solid, steady farm up as the rest of iG.V try to fight around and apply some pressure with Butterfly effect.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
iG.V, they'll try and take control of that Radiant side jungle. Scan going to come out from the Dire side, but it only really scans out the illusion there. They can see Arme in that mid lane anyway on that Drow, just trying to slowly siege it away, and he does have that Mask of Madness up now. Never mind, though. Love to get an initiation off here. Needs to be able to close the gap with that Burrow Strike, and he can't quite find the path forward. Arme just having some really nice positioning. They know he's farming the other camp, but again, how do you get in range here? Well, with Moonlight Shadow, you might be able to. They'll try. However, Arme, already realizing something's awry, does leave the building, though Butterfly Effect now pushing the mid lane in as that DP, and there is going to be a Burrow Strike into an arrow, into an epicenter, and Arme will eventually go down. However, SRF does end up getting that that Vengeful Spirit kill once again. XM going for a static link there onto the SK, but he does TP out, and iG.V, they don't really have the option to push in that mid lane now with the exorcism down, so it's back to the farming game for them.
Yeah, it's a solid pickup on the Drow, even if you do pop a lot of ults for that. Still the biggest target on the map right now for iG.V to build up and take out. You're getting space out for your PA. So Doodle is getting a little bit more here. He's sticking around to his camps, just clearing out that jungle. You do have some decent wards, though, from CDEC to punish, but they just haven't been able to jump the PA. So that's something CDEC might have to start really hunting down. You can't allow the PA to play the farming game like this. Once the Battle Fury's up, it's just going to speed up so much more. And iG.V understands that. They get the D wards off in the jungle. They're keeping it safe. They're always going to be aggressive as long as Exorcism's up. And it's going to be up in a minute. So they're timing themselves pretty darn well here from iG.V, considering all the obstacles they found at the start of the game.
Dust, he's in position to go after Arme again. He just needs some help there. They are slowly making their way down. Never mind again on that SK. Trying to get there, but looks like they have already left the building. Arme just going to back off. Nevermind is getting very close to that Blink Dagger up now, so once you have that going for yourself, you're going to be feeling a lot more confident as this Sand King. He's just going to keep farming it up. He's very close, so there's no real reason to try and initiate onto a team fight right now.
Yeah, it's not a risk that iG.V should take. On the other hand, CDEC, they've already got the Blink on SRF. So they're the ones ready to go, and there is a slight clump up down mid. They might want to reveal that item soon.
Perhaps. SRF. Moonlight Shadow going to come out, but he spotted that out. So he's just going to wait. They'll place a sentry down there to watch QY. This Moonlight Shadow may effectively lead to nothing. And QX is at least going to find that sentry ward and realize they were spotted. So CDEC going to be very happy about avoiding any kind of gank there. Going to just now try to apply some more pressure by going down to that bot lane. They have the Fiend's grip up on Victoria, so never mind. Dusted up. He does go for a Burrow Strike, but there's the arena coming up from SRF. Although nice arrow there from the Mirana, but it will not matter. Never mind. We'll die again on that Sand King, and it's a real shame. He was pretty darn close to that Blink Dagger, but now he's 200 gold off again.
Yeah, it's not the worst loss for iG.V. Yeah, the Blink's pretty close, but 200 gold's not too much to farm up. The biggest thing is that CDEC are not making moves on Doodle. This PA is still up there in terms of net worth. Should be finishing up the Battle Fury in just a bit, and once that's up and running, if you continue to ignore this PA, it will grow big, and CDEC, I mean, they've been playing really aggressive. Their item progression to counteract that PA isn't really there. You're not seeing any break tools come out. You're not seeing anything major to suppress the damage from iG.V in terms of magic. Yeah, no early BKBs just yet. So that's something CDEC has to consider, that they've given Doodle a way to get back into this game with free farm.
Say the same thing for Arme though, right? Like he's working to what appears to be the Silver Edge. He is going for that Shadow Amulet, the Blitz Knuckles as well. So it's really a matter of who does really favor this farming game here. And well, Doodle, he's still going to have the problem with the Razor up until he has that BKB up, and even then, it's going to be problematic regardless with that static link. It seems though iG.V ready to smoke up now. Do smoke up as 4. They'll leave Doodle in his own triangle by himself to just keep farming up. Victoria might be the first one getting caught out on the Bane, but they're pinging out mid lane with see James on that Phoenix. Radiant scan out on the Roshan pit, won't actually get anything, and now the Burrow Strike mid lane onto that Phoenix with the arrow flying in will be more than enough to blow him up. And they do have Exorcism, so they may go for that mid tier 1 tower push now.
Yeah, but this is going to be big. There's a BKB up and running on XM. He's ready to go.
Burrow Strike in, they do catch out the Bane again, but here comes XM. He goes with the static link onto Butterfly effect. BKB popped as well. Butterfly is falling very low. They do get QY, but XM, he backs off after draining a lot of damage out. And it seems as though they're just happy with not having that tier 1 mid tower go down yet. Thing is, it is within deny range now, so XM is probably just going to go ahead and deny that off for his team. Or maybe not. Maybe he'll just leave it. But they do protect for now.
Yeah, it's still a pretty solid exchange for both sides. I think CDEC's not going to be too satisfied with that first BKB charge. Finding a support kill, not the biggest trade-off for that. But iG.V, they haven't found the opportunity to just get Nevermind's Epicenter off as well with a blink. So, not the best use cases for both sides with these item pickups, but you're still finding slight objective wins for iG.V. Like that mid-tier 1 does mean that iG.V gets to be a bit comfier in their jungle, where they do still have their own mid-tier 1. So it's a bit more protected there.
Nice spear there onto QY. He will go down. And Doodle still just trying to secure his Desolator up on that PA now, but his farm is certainly starting to escalate quite a lot. Arme just doing the exact same thing, just trying to focus on his own farm. SRF looking to go for more though. They see Nevermind on that SK, but he will just blink away. Well, now he's just stuck on the top of the cliff, but he'll be alright. He'll just TP down. It seems though CDEC do want to try and force in this tier 1 tower themselves though now.
Yeah, I mean, they need the control on the map. It is fairly low, and they could push really fast. It's just they are playing slightly cautiously, though. There they go. Starting to commit.
It is glyphed up. They're actually going to back off after that glyph. They're not really too interested in pursuing it without a creep wave around. And you kind of just wonder who this is favoring here, because Doodle is still really farming quite nicely on this PA. Really just needs one more Mithril Hammer to have that Desolator up.
Yeah, and then at that point, you're looking at a PA who can really just melt people down. You have to remember there's a Wave of Terror with additional armor reduction as well. So it's a lot of reductions here from iG.V. It's going to make them a lot squishier on CDEC's side, and you see that smoke out from iG.V.
That you do. XM has the BKB up, but he has to be a little bit wary. There is going to be a Burrow Strike into an arrow, but XM, he gets the BKB off in time. Now the gust there from Arme. They'll go onto the TP. Great Arena and Spear from SRF, killing off that Sand King, and now Butterfly effect. He'll be chased down as well. The Plasma Field connects, and XM will secure the kill on the Razor. That's going to be a 3-for-0 trade.
Yeah, it's a really big one for CDEC this time. They managed to force the Epicenter usage out. You are seeing issues with controlling XM's BKB. Really good use on that second charge. You are still getting space for iG.V. I mean, again, Doodle's having free farm, but you're giving away a bigger objective here in the Roche. And with all those spells expended, iG.V, they don't really have an opening to play around here.
That's a quick Roshan to go down. Of course, Arme will take the Aegis. Does have the Shadow Blade up, and he's feeling pretty good about himself right now on that Drow, I'm sure. It still hasn't been really dealing with the problem of Doodle, though, who hasn't been joining these team fights. He hasn't been quite interested, but now he has the Desolator up. You kind of wonder, once that BKB's up, it's probably that time he wants to start getting aggressive with his team. They do try to make a play onto the Phoenix, but James will spot it out and Icarus dive away. And now SRF going to jump in with the Arena once again, and a great spear out. And that means XM can easily go and just clean up. And QY, he was around the area. He didn't quite go for a swap. And with that, he will also die.
And that's the pickoff we've been looking for the past few minutes. So that progression on Dougal kind of counteracted. This is a big opening for CDEC to apply some pressure if they wanted to. You do see iG.V trying to pressure that tier 2 bot, so they do want to make it a bit of a trade, but CDEC does push a bit too fast for that to really happen. I mean, look at Ame. He's attacking from the cliff.
Yeah, it's a nice feeling. Once that's down as well, you open up the outposts for the side of CDEC, so they can take it fairly soon. Thing is, you know, we are at the 22-minute mark, so it's not quite like they were able to deny the 20-minute XP, but having that outpost and controlling that Dire jungle is going to feel quite nice for the side of CDEC. Well, now, you look at IG Vitality, they're just kind of stuck in their own triangle for a bit, because both the jungles are occupied by this Radiant side.
Yeah, and this is when the issues start to pile up for iG.V. They still need Doodle to get that BKB, but even in a big fight, let's say if Doodle does join in a 5v5, CDEC can easily just Fiend's Grip up the PA or static link the PA, and again, you're stuck in a very hard spot as this hero. They need to really start opening up more with Nevermind. It's down to Nevermind to catch multiple heroes out first. He's their only real initiation on iG.V's side, and he needs to make those plays for the team if they are looking for these pickoffs.
Moonlight Shadow, it's not going to be there in really enough time. That PA getting caught out, she could probably blink out of there, but no, Swap is there in time. And Doodle will barely survive with his life intact. Still, Victoria, Nightmare, going to catch out that Venge now, so they do get one support pick-off. Meanwhile, Dust being drained down by James, but no, he'll get away. They weren't able to quite catch anyone else out, apart from that Pulse Fire Venge, but again, you just kind of force them into their base. Just farm the entire map if you're CDEC. It's just another huge win. They're going to find themselves 4k ahead now.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame that they don't have a mid creep wave. That would have been a very easy, brute, forceful take on that tier 2 tower. But they do, again, take control in the jungle. They're forcing iG.V to not farm up. iG.V still has tools to play with though. Exorcism's up. They've got the BKB on Butterfly effect. So they could look to try again here if they wanted to.
Well, they could, but it hasn't really been working out at all for iG.V. We'll see if they go for a smoke. QY, he does hold one on the Venge, and they are going to go for a burrow rather onto Ame, or Victoria, excuse me. It's going to be Yule's out as well. Ame going to be in trouble now. He's been jumped on. There's that Aegis gone. Doodle now joining his team. SRF, great spear around for the Venge. Still Ame in trouble, but no, they're going to just drop the arena onto Dust. He'll leap out of there, and Ame, he does die. XM, however, still chasing down Butterfly. Doodle trying to get a trade, doesn't quite get there. He does go down on that PA. And Butterfly is on the run now. SRF misses the spear on the Mars. Now Butterfly should be able to walk his way out. Unless Victoria does catch him out with the Nightmare. And he might just do so. Butterfly trying to juke around. Does throw the Yules out. Takes the bounty as well. But here comes Nevermind with a great Burrow Strike and Epicenter being committed. They can get both supports now. Victoria trying to drag this out, but he will die.
Oh, that's a really big win for iG.V. They managed to find the kills they wanted. They do trade Doodle away for that. But they managed to really start punishing Ame, who does not have any defensive items. So the PA is becoming a bit of an issue for the Drow once you jump in. You just simply don't have a way of widening the gap once more. And Ame is going to have to rectify that at some point, although he is going for the S and Y first. So a lot more stats, but not much mobility to get yourself out of that spot of trouble. And that could mean iG.V, they're still going to feel confident. They're still going to be jumping around as long as their spells are up. So they did use Exorcism, they did use Epicenter. This is a little bit more downtime for them once more, and that's something CDEC could try to play around if they wanted to.
They might have to. Ame, he's getting very close to having that Sergeant Yasha up. Just continue to farm that. See the Shiver's Guard coming out from Butterfly effect, and
oh, never mind.
Yeah, getting caught out mid lane. Great kill there, or rather set up from SRF, and XM does pick up the kill on the Razor. They still maintain control of this game, CDEC. They're just going to continue trying to hunt down heroes wherever they can find them. Dust could be next. He's not too careful. Another nice spear coming out. Trying to force out the leap charges here from Dust. He will commit, but can he get himself out? That's all of them down. He tries for the TP. SRF, God's Rebuke, not going to be available. So they wouldn't have enough damage up against that Mirana. And it's back to the drawing board for CDEC.
Yeah, a bit of a shame they don't find that pick-off. Would have been really nice to just give themselves a bit more. They don't really have objectives up top to kind of push out. They don't even go for the outpost take. Instead, down mid.
Yeah, Victoria getting the Nightmare off. Has the Fiend's Grip and probably will commit them. And he does. Arrow flies out. That'll actually cancel the Fiend's Grip off, but it was already done by the time that arrow reached. Arme, he'll be the one to take the kill on the Drow Ranger. And now they make the chase. QY going to be in trouble. Another just great spear out from SRF. And apart from one missed spear this whole game, SRF has been really on point with these. It's why they love giving him the Mars on CDEC.
Yeah, this is why it's usually a ban out when you do play against CDEC. You don't want SRF to have that good time, and he's just had so much impact. He hasn't progressed past the Blink and the BKB in a while, but that's all he needs. He doesn't need much to get online there, and with those sets of kills and with a creep wave here, they do get some chip damage onto that tier 2 mid.
Be a matter of how fast they can take this. Be a bit of time because the creeps, well, they're trying to skip them. Doodle didn't quite get to the wave in time.
Dire's middle tower has fallen.
They really wanted to. They could keep going through that mid tier 2, but instead they did split out the PA, and that's the real target they want. He does TP out, but he leaves the repair kit.
No.
He saw the rotation happening. He must have clicked the TP before he could, before he realized it dropped.
Yeah, and SRF gets a freebie. That's a additional tier 3 item going out to CDEC, and we've seen that a couple of times. A bit of a shame for it to happen still. That's the BKB for Doodle, and that is a smoke for iG.V. They want to maximize this item.
Radiant are scanning.
Oh, Doodle gonna run down through the Radiant jungle. They do know where CDEC is roughly. There's gonna be a counter smoke, however. CDEC, they'll run the other way. They may go into that Roshan pit. There's actually nothing scouting this out if they did. But no, they're gonna loop around the river. Scan out on the Roshan pit, not going to be any good, but never mind getting caught out on that Sand King. Nice swap out, however. QY should die, but they really want that Sand King first. Never mind, he does burn strike up to the high ground. And now Exorcism has been popped. They want to try and turn this. There'll be a buyback to come out of the Venge, but I think they may have waited too long. BKB up from Butterfly, he's still trying to commit here. SRF pops his own BKB, and that might be it though. No, they're chasing now onto Arme. They found that Drow Ranger. She's just trying to make a run for it though. Arrow perfect from Dust. They do get the kill, and now XM, Fiend's Grip is there. They've caught the PA out with the egg being dropped as well. The swap's not going to be good enough. Doodle, he's still making a run for it, but they are getting cleaned up in that mid lane. There goes Butterfly. The Sand King burrow striking out of there, but Dust is still in trouble. He'll try to TP, but SRF cancels that one off, and never mind. He got spotted on that Sand King again. He'll burrow strike TP and should be alright. And he is. They almost lost their PA as well, Doodle. He was so close to going down there in that team fight. Just a great swap out from the Venge, but they still lose in the end.
Yeah, it is getting a bit tricky here for CDEC. Again, it's down to Ame's build-up. No defensive items at all, no, not even a Force Staff to try to bail himself out. And with this kind of itemization, it is really easy for iG.V to just find that big hero kill. And it is costing CDEC in some sense. I mean, they're still finding favorable trades, but you are trading your core 1 away multiple times and can't really find Doodle at this moment. He's just a bit too evasive on PA right now with how you've went around with CDEC's counter initiation.
Well, they're going to go for the Roshan pit, CDEC, so they have plenty of damage for this, especially with Arme there. thing is, IG Vitality, they may not feel like they can actually contest this Roshan. They just pulled back on the Venge, they just lost the team fight, and well, they might have to try. They have smoked up, but whether they make it in time is an entirely different story. Is that thing is way too low. Roshan is gone. Scan out as well. They know exactly where the side of iG.V are. They happily just back out of their CDEC. It's going to be another decent win for this Radiant side.
Yeah, it's going to give them a lot of leeway here to just farm up, to continue to try to build up. I think one thing to watch out for is the refresh from XM. That just allows you to maintain so much more static links and really just apply that much more presence in these fights. You do also see that AC coming out on SRF, so you're mitigating a lot of that damage the PA is pumping out. And that just allows a lot more sustainability and durability for CDEC's entire lineup.
Another Moonlight Shadow out. Dude already has a Divine Rapier queued up after that Lincoln Sphere, which is quite intriguing, but he obviously realizes his team has fallen somewhat behind. I mean, you look at Butterfly Effect on that DP, he's somewhat of a non-factor now. Like, Exorcism is still great and all, but he gets caught out once in that team fight and he's just dead. Now a Refresher Orb up on XM. Alright, see how it works out? He does finish it. Mid lane, SRF again looking to set up, jumping straight onto Nevermind now with the swap out from QY, but they do get another great arena round. Nevermind, he tries to Burrow Strike, but he is certainly just dead.
Ooh, it's getting a bit tricky now for iG.V. You see that lead build up for CDEC, it's up to 6k now. You've got the Shadow Blade up and, well no, the Silver Edge should be up and running from Ame soon. And that should be a pretty big one for them as soon as that's done. And with those kills, of course, they can just go straight to the high ground. And this is where CDEC's lineup really shines. They just right-click way too hard. It would be very nice to have that repair kit right now from iG.V, but they don't have it.
No, that they don't. And with that Silver Edge, Ame's hitting even harder and even faster. There's that Lincoln Sphere coming out for the PA, but that leaves him with no buyback gold. If they end up getting wiped, it could be very dangerous for iG.V, but they Moonlight Shadow up. Exorcism pop, Butterfly goes in, Yule's out onto Ame. Ame's still just going to try and run away, and now they'll re-engage. SRF straight in onto that Venge, trying to burst her down. Egg dropped as well, and there's the Fiend's Grip. It catches out the PA. Doodle's going to die with no buyback. And to make matters worse, Nevermind also caught out now on the Sand King. He'll buy back immediately, but they're going to continue this chase. Dust barely leaping out in time. And if CDEC realize that there is no buyback gold, they could go for tier 4s, and Ame knows it. He wants to go right now. Can they defend this? SRF again jumping in with the next arena. Onto that DP, but misses the spear. Now Epicenter coming in with a huge Burrow Strike. Nevermind might be able to set up for the comeback. They are trying to get Ame out of there. Nevermind may just turn around here onto SRF, and they do get the Mars. But Ame, he has the Aegis. He might want to keep going. In fact, no. Looks like that'll be enough. He'll back out.
It's a decent defense coming out from iG.V. I mean, their tier 4s are held out at least, but you are seeing CDEC really pull ahead. That item buyout from our PA, from Doodle, kind of costing them. If they had to buy back, they could have punished a bit more, and you see CDEC, they're still hanging around here.
They are. They're going to go back in. Ame straight onto that DP, but a great Burrow Strike out from Nevermind. Now the Icarus dive through. KY could be the target here, and yeah, he is dead. There's Nevermind going down as well, and you know both of those heroes don't have buyback. They just both used it. So it's a question of whether you want to go top lane or whether you want to go back through mid. CDEC, they're going to play it safe and try to go through that top lane tower.
Yeah, it's again, more objectives for them to take. And man, Ame just really melts these towers right now. There's nothing to stop this Drow from just gunning right through him. There's just nothing from iG.V right now to stop this.
It's tier 3 gone. Moonlight Shadow again. You still have that Aegis. Lame may not want to just throw it away, would rather hold on to it for now, maybe re-engage a little later on. Not to mention now he has an MKB up. So that PA is suddenly really not a problem at all for Arme.
Yeah, they're going to lose the Aegis, though, in about 5 seconds, so you're not going to have that second life, and you don't have the cheese on the Drow anymore, so that's something to consider as CDEC re-engages into the high ground. Not going to stop them. They're feeling confident. I can't blame them.
And they'll go for the range rats. Take that out. Arme just being very cautious about his positioning, as they have been aiming him every time. Still, with Nevermind not being here on the Sand King yet, you've got a lot less to be afraid about as that Drow. Arme standing his ground, waiting for Dust. Arrow gonna fly out, but there's the Gust as well. QY falling very low, and now Butterfly will jump in with Doodle. They'll go straight after XM. There's gonna be Arena there from SRF though, controlling the rest of the supports, and now XM, he's just cleaning up. This Razor, they can't take him down. Nevermind finally comes in, but he's gonna die as well. And that's it. They'll just call GG after a full team wipe there from CDEC, and that'll be game 1 going to the way of CDEC.
Yeah, really good showing from CDEC. iG.V, they held out well. They gave Doodle space to try to come back in. It was always going to be an uphill climb, though. I mean, that's a PA into Razor, into Bane. They've got to be a bit more careful in their draft with last picks like that, but CDEC, they definitely looked really good coming into this series.
That they do, and we'll see how they perform in game number 2. It is MLP Dota and johnxfire. We'll see you all again in about 5 to 10 minutes for that secondary game of this best of 3.